It has been a while. It's been about 9 months since the last upload, which was a compilation, so it's been even longer for new content. Let's get some quick things done up front. I haven't used RPG Maker in a serious capacity since around the last upload, and I've spent that time inside of Godot, which I have become a massive fan of. This will be kind of like a channel update that's a bit scripted to help me get my thoughts out. I'll talk about why I switched to Godot, what I've made since switching, and what the future of this channel might be, which I would love your input for. Let's start with why I switched to Godot. I love RPG Maker. I think RPG Maker is one of, if not the best engine on the market for what it is actually targeting, turn-based RPGs. As an outspoken fan of RPG Maker VX Ace, I decided the last time I was using that engine to learn Ruby, and I did to a pretty solid degree. One thing kept bugging me though as I was writing my own scripts for it that I'm sure anyone who has developed scripts or plugins has dealt with. You have to learn and understand how the default RPG Maker code is structured and used. There were times when either I didn't like the way they handled certain functions or data, or I just couldn't figure out how or why the data was stored the way it was at all. Looking back on it now, it wasn't really that bad, but it was annoying in the moment. Having to learn and work around their default code was becoming more of a nuisance than I wanted to deal with. I was also starting my journey into the world of Linux at this time, as well as GGG announcing Action Game Maker, which was going to be built on top of Godot. Outside of RPG Maker MV, RPG Maker doesn't have any native Linux versions, which means there's always a possibility of bugs, and there definitely were bugs. Godot has a native Linux version. This, combined with the desire to create my own codebase from scratch, all kind of culminated into deciding to dive fully into learning a new game engine, that being Godot. It was daunting, to say the least. I wouldn't say the interface is super user-friendly, but you learn over time that it is very powerful. I won't get into the specifics of my journey learning Godot, but I do want to talk briefly about a few of the projects that I've made. The first real game I made with Godot was a top-down arcade shooter I just called Space Shooter. It's very simple and probably only has about 10 minutes or so of playtime, but I thought the controls felt really tight and I'm proud of the pixel art I did here. The second game, called Tiny Idol, has more like 30 minutes to an hour of playtime, and it's a very simple and straightforward idle game with 3 upgrades that you can choose from. I got really good feedback on this one. Simple, but enough to keep you interested. I learned a lot from this project that I was able to apply to my current project, which is the sequel, Tiny Idol 2, and I'm nearly finished with it. I want to add one more area and fix the remaining bugs. This is a more fleshed out version of the first game, with gear, more upgrades, item drops, just more RPG elements. I've started working on a game design document for what I would like to be my first commercial project that I'll start after this. It's a bit early, but I plan on it being a Game Boy Color style idle and management sim where you unlock very simple versions of arcade and old PC games that auto-run to generate an electronic currency. You'll initially play the game yourself to get the money to upgrade the cartridge to then autoplay, and you'll have to manage the amount of power each system draws as well as buying the parts for the system to start it. The goal is to have your server room full of PCs running retro games making you currency. The plan would be to release it on Steam, and as far as pricing goes, maybe a couple of dollars or something like that. All of the art and programming will be done by me. I'll let you all know as soon as I get that going. Now for the last bit, and maybe the most important to you as viewers. What is the future of this channel? Ultimately, I'm going to kind of leave that up to you all. I'll mention a few things we could do, and you can sound off with some feedback in the comments. While I'm not sure I feel adept enough within Godot, I could try to do some tutorials on Godot for anyone out there who is interested in switching from RPG Maker to something a little more versatile. Action Game Maker was really buggy for me on Linux, so much so that it was actually unusable, which is weird because it's built on top of Godot, and Godot has a native Linux version. As a side note, I do think this engine has a lot of promise, but I'm not sure if I feel like what they've added versus just base Godot is worth the price tag of $100. It's on sale right now, but I try to judge a product on its retail price. Instead of tutorials or in addition to them, I could start uploading my VODs, maybe even to a second channel for when I work on game dev. Or I could even start dual streaming to Twitch and YouTube here as well. I do play a lot of RPGs in addition to game dev, so there might be some interest for you all there. So if you'd like to see any of those things, please let me know in the comments. Like I said before, I've added my itch.io page in the description so you can see and play the 3 games I've made in Godot. They're playable right in the browser, so you don't need to install anything. Thank you again for all the support during my time creating content for RPG Maker. My goal was just to try to make it a little easier to understand for new or even experienced devs along their dev journey. Nothing made me want to make that kind of content more than the kind words from you all and seeing that it was helping people. There are a lot of other RPG Maker content creators that are still making content though, some of which I really enjoy. Shout out to Rainy Tay, whose videos have excellent delivery and information and are full of personality. That's it for this update. I hope to see you all again soon. Good luck with your journey and happy deving out there.